In this episode, Serafina becomes a ceviche fan.
And Aaron drinks tiger's milk?
My wife and I are on a motorcycle trip through Mexico, Central, and South America exploring culture and food. So bring an appetite for adventure because we're hungry riders. So we're in Cajamarca in the mountains of Peru, and we needed to head back towards the coast, towards the Pan American Highway. And heading west out of Cajamarca, this is the main road to get there, and it's perfect tarmac, nice and twisty, great riding roads with pavement. The way we got there was from the east, and that was the exact opposite.
Kind of the back way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then we took all those really nice roads out back to the coast, back to the Pan American, and we started heading down through all the sand dunes again, and we ran into another motorcycle rider named Ben from England.
Yeah, we just saw him on the side of the road. We decided to stop and have a chat. Then we rode together for a little ways to the town of Huaraz, which is near Trujillo. Stopped for an ice cream. We got his story, and he's one of those guys that he just went to a wedding in Colombia and saw a bike for sale, bought it,
and it was the kind of bike that had done this kind of trip before, and so it was all set up for him, and so he just bought it and took off, and had been riding for several months and having a blast doing it.
And yeah, really cool guy. And he was actually planning to ride to Cusco within the next like 24 hours. He's just gonna like ride straight there, like super crazy.
He wanted to get there for his birthday.
Yeah, we were planning on doing that same thing and taking a week. Just to give you an idea, we're gonna take the mountain roads though, so
we're gonna take our time.
Not the main highway.
Yes.
But yeah, still pretty interesting, and it's cool to run into people like this.
Yeah, so we had some ice cream, and then we headed our different directions, and
we were planning to stay in the small town of Huaraz, which is near Trujillo. It's a major city, but it's not so nice to stay there apparently. This one's a little fishing, surfing town yeah. Outside of there, and there's some cool ruins that you can see there.
So the thing to see nearby Huaraz is an ancient ruins called Chan Chan, and it's a pre-Incan civilization. It's all 100% Adobe.
It was covered up with sand for centuries, and they've been recently uncovering it. And it's all, they used to be palaces they would build for different kings.
And so we parked our bikes there. We saw a little hairless dog that was asking for tips.
Yeah, Peruvian hairless dog. They're supposed to keep you warm on a cold Peruvian night.
Yeah, it's really weird to pet a dog with no fur, any animal with no fur. And then we went in and we got a guide to show us around, and one of the first things we saw in there was a guy dressed up in pre-Incan costume, and we walked up to him and he started talking to us in English about our motorcycles.
It's like, oh, that's awesome! Yeah, it was very unexpected.
It was.
And while we were there, we saw some of the honeycomb carvings. So all this again is made out of Adobe. It's crazy things that we didn't even know were possible to do with Adobe. Serafina's brother is actually the one that told us about this place.
Yeah, he said it was one of the coolest things he'd seen, so we had to check it out.
So we went out of our way, otherwise we might have stayed in the mountains. We went specifically to go see these ruins.
Right.
And we saw different carvings, so they would have different etchings
with symbols
into the walls. They have these massive city walls that they use for protection. And
I was surprised at how much of it was intact. It's right on the coast, and it's all Adobe. You'd think some of it would deteriorate after so many centuries. There's
still a little bit of coloring left on a few things.
Yeah.
And they had freshwater spring there for, I guess, drinking or whatever they would need. Again, this is right next to the coast, so that's pretty cool.
And then we saw the tomb that they buried their kings in, too.
And these were functional tombs where they would wheel them out during different ceremonial rituals, and every king had their own different palace in their tomb. You know, that people would use that for religious purposes.
And so then we headed back into Huaraz to stay the night, and we went out to the restaurant for dinner, and they had a drink called chicha morada. And this is actually super common throughout all of Peru. Almost every restaurant that we went to had this drink. It's really good. It's made from blue corn.
It's not too sweet. It's just super refreshing, and it's purple.
And it doesn't taste like corn. It tastes, you know, like a fruit juice almost.
The way I looked at this place, we're by the ocean, we're in Peru. What should you eat in that situation?
Ceviche!
Yeah.
So we did.
Yeah, we did. And, you know, we had ceviche all throughout the trip, and this stuff was like the real thing. Nice and spicy, you know.
But not too spicy.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Definitely some of the best ceviche we had.
Yeah, it was. It was very good.
And one of the other things that they served with it was an interesting kind of a side drink. So along with the meal of ceviche here in Peru, they gave me this. And it's basically the same liquid from the ceviche, and it's called tiger milk. And It is spicy. It's good.
So we headed out of Huanchaco and we headed down the coast a little bit. And this would be the last time we see the Pacific Ocean in a while, so we got a good look at it.
And one of the other reasons that we took this particular route is we wanted to take a road back into the mountains called Canyon del Pato.
Or Duck Canyon in English.
Sounds much better in Spanish.
It does.
And this is one of those destination roads that motorcycle travelers, when they go through Peru, you have to see it, you have to go through. So that's why we were there.
And we could see why too.
Yeah,
it was so pretty to go through.
It's still very easy. It was dirt, but it was hard packed. There's a couple little water crossings, but not a big deal. Just a little stream going by.
And there was also a lot of tunnels, and they were actually hand carved tunnels. There's dozens of them too.
Yeah, very cool and very long. You know, it's going to be completely dark for certain sections of it. There's little windows in the tunnels every once in a while. But, it was pretty cool.
And then we got into a more green area of the Peruvian mountains.
And we could see glaciers in the background as we're riding. It was really cool. Nice twisty tarmac. Once again, it's on one of the more main roads. And this is one of those like ecotourism destinations. If you want to climb a mountain or a glacier and that kind of stuff, this is where people go.
Adventure sports.
Yeah, they're supposed to have good winter stuff as well, which means they have good infrastructure for finding hotels and places to eat. And
yeah, by this point in the trip, we had kind of gotten our routine down for finding hotels, one that would find a place for our bikes and such. And
so we made a motorbite that describes that whole procedure. We kind of filmed it in this particular location. So check that out if you're interested on how you find a hotel in some random town you have no idea where you are. So some people were concerned that they didn't have Christmas in Peru. And here is our proof that they do.
They have lots of Christmas in Peru.
Yeah, it's just as scaled up and crazy, you know, decorations and everything as anywhere else you'd have in the U.S. And Merry Christmas! Yeah, it was great. We just walked around, got a feel for it.
Yeah, we walked around the downtown area, saw the shops and people selling stuff on the side of the road.
I purchased an Incan flute that I'm going to learn how to play.
Yep. And one of the street foods that they like to sell in the main plazas of many of the towns throughout our entire trip, popcorn, just like they do in the US.
Street popcorn, yeah.
And so we bought some of that, had a little snack, and then we went and had a very interesting dinner.
So we are in Huaraz, Peru, which is kind of up in the mountains, and it's kind of a trekker, hippie, mountain town kind of thing. We got some new sweaters, it's made out of alpaca, and now I'm going to eat an alpaca. And they happen to have a burger here. Burger form is a good way to try a new meat. And we'll see how it tastes. Tastes like alpaca. I don't know. They put a lot of herbs and stuff in it. Looks good.
So we left Huaraz and we were going to take 3 days to get from there to Cusco, which is near Machu Picchu, all in the mountains. We're going to stay in the mountains from here on out. And
on our way out of town, we did a drive-by of some cuis.
AKA guinea pigs.
Yes, and these are all in little nets and bags. And
because they're food here.
Yeah, and
they're food.
You know, they're pets in the U.S. I heard it's actually becoming popular in the U.S. to eat these too. But we're going to have to eat these eventually while we're in Peru, but not quite yet. And so we headed out of town and we went through some of the highlands. It's kind of like a marsh, like no trees or anything.
It's very wet.
Yeah, and wet and misty. We're going through clouds. It's pretty cool. And we actually went, this is the highest point on the whole trip. We went up to 16,000 feet. And keep in mind, these are carb bikes.
Yeah, our bikes could definitely feel it.
Yeah, but it was less power, but like, you know, I wasn't sure they're even going to run at that kind of altitude, but they were totally fine.
Yeah, we didn't have any problems running, just a significant loss of power in some sections.
And uphill usually, because it's like a steep section.
Mountain passes, yeah.
Yeah, we got some cool views of the mountain terrace as we go along. It's pavement in these sections, but you never know what to expect. And you know, you're going around a turn, there's a water crossing in one section, then there's a big herd of like skittery animals jumping all over the place, and all kinds of...
Yeah, herds of animals were actually very common throughout these roads, everywhere, and whether it's goats, pigs, sheep, cows, or any combination of those.
Dogs are jumping out at you left and right, trying to chase the bikes and like bite the tires. And then the other thing is, every time you go around a corner that's kind of blind, the thing to do is honk your horn to let other people know you're there.
Because the roads are narrow enough that if, you know, you might be in the middle of the road just because it's a narrow road, and then somebody might
also be there.
Also be in the middle of the road, come in the opposite direction.
So yeah, we hug the inside, honk your horns whenever possible, and that was the new game to play as you're going through the roads.
And listen for honks too.
It totally works. It totally saved us in a number of
times.
occasions, and you know, it's just letting other people know where you are and you knowing where other people are. So we pulled up, it's kind of a dirt section, again, because they're doing construction. We're like, oh, okay, no big deal. This shouldn't take too long. And we sat there, and it looked like it was going to take a long time.
They were in the middle of actually paving the road, like actually laying down the tar.
But not providing any way to get through in the meantime, like
Right.
paving half of it at once and then, you know, paving the other half later.
Yeah, so we went up and asked the lady who was telling us to stop, and she said that we have to wait for the tar to dry before.
No,
we can
but she
pass.
said it'd only take 10 minutes, but 10 minutes turned into an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And we also asked her, like, how long until the next like place where we can grab some lunch? And that's 2 hours down the road from there.
We were ready for lunch at that point already.
So it's time to break out the snack bars. That's what we did. It was so cold, we didn't even want to take off our helmets. It was raining. Yeah. So we made the most of our situation, took some photos, and had a snack. So this was probably the most serious mud construction day that we experienced on the whole trip. Like, you know, again, this is the main way through the mountains. We're in the mountains, and like, but most of it's not paved, and this is what you get. Like, they're just working on the roads, but they just totally destroy it in the meantime.
Yeah, the mud was like 6 inches deep, and you just kind of
it's super thick paste,
wobbling your way through it.
Yeah, you keep keeping your feet down, kind of thing. And our bikes are relatively heavy too.
Yeah,
just
but they're
like,
also kind of meant for this. Though.
Yeah,
we had good tires and everything.
Yeah, we bought new tires specifically for this section of the road. Even.
Yeah.
And we made it through, and yeah, the mud was 6 inches deep in some places.
Yeah, on cliffs too, cliff edges.
Yeah, roads being washed out, but you know, cars are going through there too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to wait for the construction machinery to smooth it out, but we made it, never got stuck, and we never fell.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That was an accomplishment.
Yeah, we were very proud of ourselves.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, there are lots of animal herds in the road, and sometimes as you pass by the animals, one of the animals, in this case a bull, decides to charge after you.
And yeah, just accelerate out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
No big deal.
You can outrun the
She
bull.
told me about it afterwards, but I totally, because it seemed a little jittery there.
Yeah.
So we made it into Ayacucho. It's kind of raining as we're pulling into town that night. This will be our last night before getting to Cusco. And my luggage rack broke again. All those vibrations. It's really the dirt roads, and we're going kind of fast, and our luggage is heavy, and it tends to break.
And I don't think the previous welder did such a good job.
Yeah, for $3, what can you expect for each of these things? But this has turned into a form of entertainment on this trip.
Find the welder.
Yeah.
And the way you find the welder is look for the mud in the town, the neighborhood full of mud.
And asking also helps.
Yes.
And in this case, we were getting it repaired at a tuk-tuk stand.
Yeah.
And it's just cool, you know, they're working on it. I'm helping them take the stuff off so he can have better access to weld on it.
The tuk-tuks are the little taxi carts with 3 wheels that are half motorcycle.
I think they're made in India actually too, but they're popular all through here. And it's a good place to chat with the locals as they're, you know, they're always asking about the trip and
get some advice on if the roads are good, which route we need to take, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's fun. I'd recommend that. So we just had a few high, muddy roads in the rain to get through on our way to Cusco.
Yeah, and lots of switchbacks too. You can see the roads going down the mountain before you even get there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun, and we've survived the mountain experience for riding through Peru.
Yeah, we're definitely due for a rest. So that's what we're up to in Cusco, just take a rest for a couple days and figure out how to get to Machu Picchu.
We're going to ride our bikes all the way there and then hike just the last bit.
Yeah, but that's for the next episode, so be sure to tune in for that. But until then, if you want to stay up to date on all our videos and be the first one to know as soon as we post a new video, subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/hungryriders.
You can also follow our whole trip at hungryriders.com.
See you next time.
Never thought we'd ride our motorcycles here.